Good afternoon, my friends. This is Eladamri, Lord of Leaves, and I hope you're doing very well today. Kidding, it's still Grimflayer. Don't worry, but I always have to make that same old joke every time I play Elves, and we are playing Elves here today, my friends, in Modern, no less. So, the last time you saw me play Elves on the channel, it was for Pauper, where Elves are a force to be reckoned with. In Modern, they are a real deck, but a decidedly fringe deck, especially relative to a format like Pauper, where they are, floating around the top tiers usually. They're a mainstay at the top tables. In Modern, it's been a while since that has been the case, if ever. But they are a real deck, and this is very close to a 5-0 list that just 5-0'd. I believe it was from the July 28th 5-0 dump on MTGO, and it is a 12-tick list. Now, I did make some changes to the sideboard. We're going to talk about that. My changes to the sideboard and maybe a couple of my fancy printings. Maybe we're pushing the envelope. Maybe this is like a 15 or an 18-tick deck. But the point is, it is extremely budget-friendly. It is dirt cheap, virtually free by the standards of modern decks on MTGO. Maybe that says more about the price point of our hobby than it does about anything else, but it's still very exciting that such an inexpensive and affordable deck, and one that is so cool thematically because I have always absolutely loved Elves, was able to put up a 5-0. But let's talk about the concept of the deck and the fact that this is not actually just a budget version of a better deck at all. So most of the time when you see Elves in Modern, you will see green-black or Golgari Elves, specifically to leverage the card Shaman of the Pack, which is the big finisher. We all know what that card does, right? So is mono green just a budget version of that? Obviously the cost of Elves is really tied up when you do play green-black in the land base. You're looking at Cavern of Souls and several like 3 or 4 nurturing peatlands is normal, so all of that stuff is really, really expensive, and then you have potentially Blooming Marsh, maybe some people play fetch lands, you have utility lands like Pendlehaven. It all adds up really quickly, so I would like to point out that although this might look like a budget consideration to play 18 forests instead of all that and to play monocolor instead of green-black, it's actually not, or at least not purely, and there is one specific reason why. So that specific reason is Arbor Elf. Arbor Elf is unironically a modern staple now because the Gruul Ponza deck is so strong. Ironically enough, Arbor Elf itself is not an elf staple, despite being an elf and a mana dork. The simple fact of the matter is, with only 18 lands and with a 2-colored mana base, especially an elf one that again plays a lot of the aforementioned utility lands, Arbor Elf does not consistently enough function as a mana dork to untap target forest. But when you play literal all forests and only forests, then Arbor Elf is, shy of extreme land destruction on the opposing side, or like a Pithing Needle or something like that. It is just as good as Elvish Mystic and Llanowar Elves. Now, the extra playset of Mana Dorks, the Mana Dorks 9 through 12, those are what the Elf deck in Modern really wishes it had. Fyndhorn Elves exists, but it is not a Modern legal card. And then you have cards like Boreal Druid and Elves of Deep Shadow, which are just frankly really bad compared to having another version of Elvish Mystic or Llanowar Elves. So by playing our all forests mana base, not only is it budget friendly, it actually turns on Arbor Elf. It makes Arbor Elf a viable play, which in turn allows us to have 12 traditional mana dorks in our deck, which in turn allows us to play a very, very high density of lords, because powering out cards like Elvish Champion and Imperious Perfect and Elvish Archdruid, I mean, these are good cards when they all come together and when your opponent's not interacting, but we really need to power them out on turn 2. We really need to come down ahead of curve. We need to go wide and go tall, because all we do is beat down. That's pretty much all we do. We don't have a combo finish. We don't even have the reach of Shaman of the Pack. We are a straight beat down deck. And so to that end, not only are we a 12 mana dork deck, we are actually a 16 lord deck, because Elvish Clancaller is a lord as well. And we have Ezuri as a mana sink and as a bit of a defensive tool. Dwynen's Elite to help go wide. Heritage Druid to really help go wide with explosive mana and specifically synergizes really well with Dwynen's Elite, as I'll hope to show you in this league. And only 4 copies of Lead the Stampede, so no Collected Company, no Chord of Calling. And again, that makes the deck cheaper, but I also think that Lead plays really well with this deck's plan. So Lead is going to very often be a draw 3, draw 4, occasionally even a draw 5, because we have such a huge threat count, right? So this deck is all pretty cool, and, you know, yes, you can play all of these cards in green-black elves, but again, the reason why a configuration like this makes more sense than one that leans more into Shaman of the Pack and other cards and is not able to as consistently power out a turn 2 Lord is because, again, we can play Arbor Elf in mono green, but in green-black you really can't. So the exact 60 is what I'm running, same exact 60 as the 5-0 list. The sideboard is where I have made a couple changes. Now, I'm not a very experienced elf player, but I do have a background in the deck. It was my first ever modern deck, and yes, I was mostly a noob while I played it, but I still played it, you know, I still kind of have a good sense of what fits with the deck and what does not. And the 5-0 list had a full 4 copies of this card, Heroic Intervention. So it's a 2-mana instant permanence you control, Kane, Hexproof, and Indestructible until end of turn. It's a fine fit in elves, but I stress fine. I wouldn't call it good, I would only call it fine. It's not a card that really sees modern play at all outside of occasionally showing up in elf lists. But here's the big kiss of death. So even though everything in the main deck, as I've already explained, it all works well together, it all enables each other even more so than a usual elf build would, Heroic Intervention is certainly kind of an odd card out in this regard, because we are not playing reactively otherwise. We are not playing those cards like Chord of Calling and Collected Company. If I could zoom in on this card again, that would be great. Client lagging a little bit. But the point here is, holding up Heroic Intervention, slow rolling a little bit, is fine because you can play around a sweeper, and then if they don't have a sweeper, you can cast Collected Company or Chord of Calling. But when we're not doing that, it really starts to look worse and worse, to the point where I have cut it all together. So Heroic Intervention is gone. As I say, in the 5-0 list, there were 4 of them. I have added 6 cards to the sideboard, cards that I think shore up archetypes and matchups that we otherwise were not having much, if anything, to do against besides just try to race them. And I think all of these cards are good fits in elves for various reasons. So 2 copies of Choke, the Supreme Verdict decks are a beating. Who doesn't like a turn 2 Choke against a blue deck? Weather the Storm. Burn and red deck wins archetypes, especially Prowess, can be pretty tough because they can race us while controlling our board, so Weather the Storm. Now, this is also a reactive card, kind of like Heroic Intervention, but I think the use cases for it will be more obvious. I think we will be less punished for slow rolling it than we would be for Heroic Intervention against a deck that may or may not have a sweeper rolled up. And on the turns that we really go off, we can just cast Weather at the end of our big chain, you know, and that'll be really good in those matchups where our life total matters. So I think in that sense it's a better fit than Heroic Intervention. And also 2 copies of Relic of Progenitus. We don't use our graveyard, opposing decks do. This could be Grafdigger's Cage, it could maybe even be Scavenging Ooze, but I like Relic. Cage is a non-bow, I guess, with Clancaller. So if that's the tiebreaker, maybe that's the reason to play Relic. But I've cut all 4 Heroic Intervention. Hopefully we don't come to regret that. But again, I think with regard to the sweepers, you're kind of just supposed to make them have it in this deck. And I've also trimmed 1 Reclamation Sage down to 3 and 1 Damping Sphere down to 2. I think those are both fine cards in the deck, but I think trimming either one of them is justifiable. Finally, we do have the full 4 copies of Veil of Summer. We're using Veil as intended to protect a fair green creature deck, and it is obviously a really nice tool here. And then it's another reactive card, but holding up 1 mana for that huge upside is obviously very, very doable with a deck like ours. So there you go, my friends. Let's play a match, and let's also, as we find our first opponent, say thank you to the Patreon supporters, and a mega thank you to Teddy Jund Keyser. Teddy's donation league is this one right here. This is what we're looking at. Teddy is a totally awesome guy, an OG Patreon supporter, one of the very first, one of the very best, and he is of the Veil, the very highest tier of support. Absolutely love it. As if that was not enough, Teddy is a Discord mod as well. And Teddy had a couple different ideas for a donation league, but we ended up settling on elves. And if you happen to see, this hand's a keep. If you happen to see my only other time I played Modern Elves on the channel, it was several months ago, that was also a Teddy Jund Keyser requested donation league. So Teddy, thank you so much, my friend. I hope our 12 tick elf deck that maybe my upgrades have made a 15 tick deck, or whatever exactly it might be, is gonna do well. Now, I'm not under any illusions that this is like a new OP way to play, you know, the archetype in Modern. I do think it's still a little underpowered, frankly, for Modern, but I think it's a good proactive deck. I think there's a lot to like about it. And like I said at the beginning, the most important takeaway from that deck tech is that Arbor Elf is what puts mono green on the map, if you ask me. So, we could power out Imperious Perfect here, or we could play Monodork into Clancaller. Or we could play Monodork into Dwynen's Elite to go as wide as possible. There's no obvious route here. I think I'm going to do one of the latter two. If we had Heritage Druid instead of one of the traditional dorks, we could cast a ton of spells this turn. Opponent went top off of Spire Bluff, by the way. I suppose we are against Storm. So I think we need to just go as wide as possible here. Depending on our draw, play at least one Lord next turn, possibly two, and then even if they have Baral, maybe they cannot block easily or at all. But really, you know, we're happy we're on the play. We're happy we have a pretty fast hand. Sure enough, they have the Baral. Okay, well, they could very obviously T3 us with turn 2 Baral out of Storm. What did they mulligan to 6? Yes, they did mull to 6. Okay, so we have that going for us. Alright, so we have 4 mana to work with. I'm just going, again, very wide this turn. I'm going to attack with the Dork. There's no reason not to. It could spook them into not blocking and could be the difference maker. Indeed, that's the case. Okay, so if that's the difference between having lethal or not having lethal next turn, then we're very happy. So we're setting up for a nice turn 4 kill here. Big problem is the opposing deck can very easily turn 3 us. All we got here, guys. That's all we got. Let's see if they have it in return. Well, kicking off immediately with Pyretic Ritual into Monomorphos. This looks like they have it, doesn't it? Those are some pretty quick cantrips from the opponent. They've all been resolved very quickly. I'm not optimistic. Okay, Past in Flames. Yep. So there's still an outside chance they have not found a Gifts Ungiven and will not find one, but otherwise I don't think we have any outs. We have to fade them at this rate, finding not only gifts, but just like naturally drawing Grape Shot. So, yeah, I think we're gonna die. Hey, you know, turn 4 kill. We presented it. We're on the play, you know. It's something. Storm deck stumbles a little bit more. We could have very easily gotten there, but this is the risk of a deck like this. They're going to remand their own Grape Shot, and they're going to have 31 damage this turn, or something quite like that. Okay, well, we tried. We tried our best. All we can do is run it back with at least Damping Sphere to help. You could see playing Relic. Probably supposed to play Weather the Storm. And Actually, there's a fair amount of considerations. Every card here has at least an outside chance of being useful. They play a lot of non-island lands, so I'm a little low on choke, but as a one-of, it could still be okay. Reclamation Sage I don't really expect to need, but I have seen them side an Aria of Flame against Elves before. I don't know if that's correct, but in a warm-up game that happened to me, actually, in the tournament practice lobby. And Veil of Summer beats Remand. I don't know how much else it beats. Oh, it beats Gifts Ungiven, because we become hexproof, right? Oh, that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if we can... Alright, let's not play these cards because we don't want to overboard, obviously. And we're already likely to be overboarded. If there's one matchup where I consistently make a lot of changes, like across all decks, it's against Storm. But we're an elf deck, we're a synergy tribal deck, we cannot afford to overboard like a BGX deck can, right? So, I don't even know if we're going to play all 10 of these cards. I could see Veil of Summer being strangely high variance, because I don't think it does much except beat Remand and Gifts, which are two very important things, but they could just kill us without it like they did there. Okay, so Elvish Champion, I guess, is kind of the worst lord, because unless they're splashing green and we didn't see it, they're not really getting Forest Walk. From there, I'm just going to kind of trim around the edges a little bit, maybe cutting up to 2 Lead the Stampede, just going pure race mode, cutting 1 Ezuri, and then probably... It's possible that we've overboarded. But I think every card that we're bringing in is justifiable. 3 Veil of Summer is kind of an arbitrary number, but the card is just so good when it's good, right? Well, we got the Veil. Relic Archdruid, this is like a controlling hand, but I think I'm going to keep it just because, like, Relic beats their graveyard-dependent progressions, and Veil beats their Gifts Ungiven. Obviously, we wish we had at least one other elf in there, but since we sided so heavily, let's keep a hand that draws 2 really potentially useful sideboard cards to open up with, right? Another top Serum Visions from OP. You hate to see it. Onslaught Island. Pretty cool. Dwynen's Elite. That is a suitably awkward one. It only makes the token if you control another elf. Nevertheless, I'm going to run it out. Gotta get some kind of a clock down, so playing our Grizzly Bear, saying go. Drawing a 1-drop there would have been way better, because then we could hold up Veil as well. But next turn's going to be the really awkward decision point, right? Do we slam Archie or do we hold up Veil? I'm not sure, so I almost hope to draw just like another Dwynen's Elite or a Clancaller. Clancaller would be good. Let us attack. Jeez, another Forest, eh? Well, as bad as this is, I think the cue of our hand is just to attack and say go. Keep is looking pretty awkward. Maybe it was incorrect. I'm definitely no elf expert. I don't think we need to crack the Relic for action just yet, because we at least have a good turn next turn of Archie with Veil backup. Man, just drawing a bunch of forests off the top. We drew Grizzly Bear and, what, 3 forests after this keep? Feels pretty bad. But the opponent did not remand Archie, which I'm happy with. They could have removal here. I hope they don't. Seems like they do. Unfortunate. Okay. Well, Veil of Summer doesn't beat Lightning Bolt. So we're super clunky. If they hadn't had anything really to do there, I would have felt good, because then we could be holding up Relic. Okay, opponent will opt. Sure, we'll get rid of that Lightning Bolt. Could be holding up the full Relic Crack or the Veil. Now we're only holding up... Well, we're still holding up both, but we lost our only good play. They topped with the last turn's opt, and they have bottomed with this one. Do we dare now to crack Relic in search of action? I think we might have to, simply because our hand does nothing otherwise, doesn't even get any attacks through. Feels pretty bad. We have not... Oh my god, another forest off the top. Okay. Well, when you've got the 18 land deck and this happens, not much you can do. I'm going to keep testing the resolve of their Baral. Oh, not a good display from our mono-green elves on the first time out, on the first round. This is highly unusual, flooding this bad, but hey, what else is new, right? Okay, our only hope is now that they kind of go right for a Gifts and we get to veil it. Opponent seems like a pretty savvy player. I would not be surprised to see them playing around that, because one of the only reasons our hand makes sense is if we do have a card like Veil of Summer. Just let the Monomorphose mana expire and then pass the turn, huh? Alright, well, here come some attacks. The draw of Heritage Druid is way too late to be actively good. How about Baral as a blocker? Who knew he was so multi-talented? Opponent really just passing again? Okay. Well, at this point I just kind of want to draw more Veils and win with the weenies. Elvish Clancaller, okay. Maybe this forces them to take some kind of action, or if they genuinely don't have much to do, this obviously increases our clock by a fair amount. Do we want to conceal info by... Okay, they've got a Braid. Sure. Okay, with that a Braid, the block makes a little less sense, because they were blocking the 2/2s the whole rest of the time. Do we conceal information? So, like, what, playing Forest would play around Remand on our Veil, and then Mono... Whatever, nah, we just conceal information. I don't think it plays around anything, actually. Hey, we've got them below 10. Jeez, they are flooded. They're as flooded as we are. Perhaps more so. Okay, another Heritage Druid. You got it. Just taking the kills, you know? I mean, I get it, but it feels like you're playing with fire. Maybe they just kind of... Maybe they just know we don't have the reach. I think I'm just going to play and immediately crack this. Okay, we drew another dork, huh? I think that means we, once again, suicide with the Heritage Druid if they want to go to 1. Seems a little sketchy, and we've been attacking this way so far. Okay. They go to 1. Now we'll play the forest. Don't know if it matters. This will be the most unspectacular win I have arguably ever had if we get there. Okay, opponent with the pieces. There's the gifts. Ritual, a ritual, Monomorphos in the yard, then a ritual from hand. Okay. Does Veil get us there? Another forest off the Veil. Okay. Now, does opponent have Past in Flames? Doesn't look like it, then they go Sleight of Hand. I mean, they still could. It might have been bad to crack the Relic. I'm just thinking they're so far on the ropes. We really just have to get them dead. Okay, they abrade the Dork. Then they Grape Shot our board. And us. Let's see if they have anything else. We could still just be dead. Can't believe we have another Forest in hand off of the Veil of Summer draw. Oh boy. Oh boy. They could have Empty the Warrens here, I guess. That'd be very bad. Another Grape Shot. Oh, I see. I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it changed too quickly for me. Are we exactly dead, or are we at 1, and they have to redirect to the board? Or do they have a third Grape Shot? Well, they're not redirecting to the board. The Baral kill. Very stylish. Very stylish indeed. Wow. Alright, well played to the opponent. I do not know if my keep was correct there, but otherwise I think everything we did was fine. We just kind of flooded. Again, when you're on an 18 land deck without any selection, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. We even had some cantrips too. You know, we had more ways to smooth out variants than usual, I guess, in that regard, because we don't play Elvish Visionary in this version, but yeah, that was a little bit sad. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little bit sad. But our aggressive cracking of Relic didn't hurt us. Because they did not end up utilizing the graveyard to kill us there on their go-off turn. So, our Veil of Summer maybe almost got us there. It certainly put a big wrench in their works. That's about all we can say for our performance there. So not a good start, but I don't think Storm is a good matchup. We can race them if they stumble a little bit, but we don't have any kill spells. That's obviously a pretty big deal. Damping Sphere does something, but ooh, what do we think about this? This hand's actually super intriguing. I hate to mulligan. With this deck, I feel like I only mulligan hands that don't have a dork. I don't like to mulligan hands that could refill on turn 2 like this. So while it's going to be a little slow, I do think I'm going to keep it. We should have you know, leaving aside whatever we draw off the top of our remaining 53 cards in the deck as things stand, only 18 of them are non-creature, so Lead the Stampede should really hit. Or against Eldrazi Tron, okay? I don't know how this matchup is. It's probably high variance. You know, they could really cheese us with a Chalice. They obviously have a lot of cards that are really tough for us to beat, but on the other hand, they might struggle with our go-wide plan. So they've got no plays as of yet. Maybe they have Dismember or Spatial Contortion or whatever, but we definitely don't play scared of anything like that. Archdruid's a good draw. We've drawn 2 Lords off of this keep. That's definitely very nice. This could be Thought-Knot Seer or just Expedition Map. Okay, so we're getting turn 4 Trond. So I think we cannot afford to play around anything. Let's try to go as wide as possible this turn and make them punish us for that. With Allah's Dust, basically. So If we lead the Stampede into exactly Heritage Druid, we could have a really good time. But I don't think we're supposed to do that. I think we're supposed to play a Lord and then activate Archdruid and be able to kind of dump out our whole hand besides lead. Alternatively, we could play Mystic off of Mystic, and then Archie for 4, which would let us lead. So that's fine. I think I'm just going to put, again, as many Lords down as I can. Just definitely make sure to present lethal on board, and then if we get wiped, Lead the Stampede is just a good place to start rebuilding as anything else. But, you know, the things I'm really scared of are Allah's Dust, Karn the Great Creator, and doing Snaring Bridge would be unbeatable. We cannot beat that card main deck. That's a huge difference between this deck and the Green-Black Elves. Shaman of the Pack is, you know, and Snaring Bridge is really not a big deal for that deck, because Shaman is kind of your big finisher anyway. And the green-black deck seems to chip in for early damage more, but maybe that's just me. Thought-Knot Seer taking lead. Okay. Another Thought-Knot Seer. Okay, so these are their payoffs. This is beatable. If we draw Lord off the top, they have to chump block. If not, oh, Lord off the top. Yo. Let's go. Let's go. Pretty cool. Hey, we're a 16 Lord deck. We had a decent shot at it, right? Our draws have been hot this time around. And they're taking lethal here if they don't. Hold up, turn off auto yields. So yeah, they have to chump block with both. They were taking exactly 20. We gotta turn off auto yields because we might have a 1-mana play we want to make, and we draw 2 1-mana spells. Does this even matter? Yeah, I guess it does, because our whole board is mostly 3-drops. Not that they can play and activate Blast Zone on 3, but you understand the principle. I'll just play something out, whatever. Like, if they do manage to wipe our board here, then having 2 dorks instead of 1 to rebuild with is not going to do it. Hey, we did it! We went wide against the Eldrazi Tron deck. Feels good, man. Feels so good. Okay. So, we probably want Damping Sphere. We probably want Reclamation Sage. Both of those cards, there are scenarios in which they can kind of ignore them and steamroll us. Like they won't necessarily line up against what they're doing. but we can't beat Bridge without Rec Sage, and I think it's probably irresponsible to play without D-Sphere against a Tron deck, even if it's one that is not living or dying entirely based on whether it assembles the namesake lands. I think I'm cutting my 4 champions. I'm not certain if the 5th cut should be Ezuri. I think regeneration is kind of is not that useful against a lot of what they're doing. You know, some of their removal is going to get around that. He's also just very slow and clunky unless you have a really, really mana-rich progression. I think I'm just going to keep all of my Mono Dorks, but an alternative would be to leave them in and just cut a 1-drop simply to play around Chalice on 1, which is obviously what they're going to try to go for. So why don't we do that? We'll cut an Arbor Elf. I think with a deck like this, like your... like 90% of your sideboarding decisions are going to be very cut and dry, and the edge cases you could probably make like 10 different configurations that are all roughly as viable. So opponent keeping 7 is bad news. We need this deck to have a fail rate. Don't know if they will. It's going to be a little scary on the play. That said, I think our hand is perfectly viable. We only lose 1 card as things stand to Chalice on 1, unless they are on Simian Spirit Guide, right? But the turn 2 Chalice on 1 only beats our Arbor Elf right now. Well, there it is. So, draw another Mystic sucks. I guess we just play Imperious Perfect here. Our incentives to aggressively lead go way down, because when you are leading early, you're hoping for Heritage Druid to be able to actually dump out all the cards, and all that stuff is locked out right now. So, all we can do is really play out this Perfect. You know, we're doing okay-ish if they don't have great follow-ups. Spatial Contortion, that's really rough. Okay, good. Good. I was going to say, even if we don't draw the land, we could play a 2-drop and then make a token with Perfect. But we've drawn the land. So we're going to play Clancaller first. That way, if we played Dwynen's Elite first, they're sitting on like a Dismember. Maybe they would have dismembered in response, so our Dwynen's Elite wouldn't make the token. But when you lead on Clancaller, they can't stop the token with only 1 mana. OP with a 1/1 Walking Ballista, immediately pinging the Clancaller, which is rough, but no 4th land, notably. And we rip Archie off the top. Never didn't have him. Never didn't have him. Is that our play? Yeah. Again, Chalice kind of makes the lead bed. It's not bad. It's still a good card to have, but doing it aggressively over other things is bad. Alright. We gotta fade Matter Reshaper, and we gotta fade the 4th land. Oh, man. Okay, then. Well, now we're going to open up on lead. Ezuri, Clancaller, Archdruid, Dwynen's Elite. Okay, so 4, 5, 6 mana if we want it. They just scoop. Guys, I don't even care if we 1 and 4. I don't want to. I hope we 4 and 1. But just totally dumpstering E-Tron like that, I'm happy. This league was a success based purely and solely on that. Hope you guys are having fun with this. It's actually been a minute since I did one of these live recorded solo leagues. Lately everything has been the Discord leagues and my own replays mixed in, because I have been, just kind of squeezing in games where and when I can. One lander's not without risk, but this looks like a very keepable one. And if we do draw the second land, we're going to lead on Llanowar Elves, and if we draw the second land, you can perhaps see the line. We use our 3 mana to go Heritage Druid into Dwynen's Elite, then we tap those 3 creatures, including the Dwynen's Elite token, to dump out Clancaller and Arbor Elf. So we can have an insane board by turn 2 if we draw the second land here, and if they don't remove our turn 1 play. It occurs to me that we can juke out opponents, I guess, by going Forest into Arbor Elf, but I think it's still better to lead on Llanowar Elves. Oh no, not Storm again. Not Storm again. It's probably still better to lead on Llanowar Elves, though, right? Because on the off chance they play, like, main deck Pithing Needle, or they somehow turn 1 blow up our land, we don't have another one, right? Anyway, that's an aside. Okay. I'm assuming Storm. I think kind of no matter what the opponent's up to, this is going to be our line. Okay, that is a nice wide board. Opponent with no play. Four, 7, 9, 10, 12 power on board. We definitely have the turn 4 kill lined up, but if it is Storm, it's Izzet Charm. They're Izzet Charming our Clancaller. Okay. I don't know what this is, but sure. So this is an interesting spot, having drawn Ezuri. Obviously, we want to attack for as much damage as possible right now, but there's a lot of incentive to, if we are playing Ezuri, to play around, like, Anger of the Gods. Or just other removal, just, like, being able to hold up the regen with Heritage Druid, right? I guess we do just kind of dump out the hand and then give up on 1 point of damage to be able to activate Heritage Druid and therefore activate Ezuri 3 times. Think I'm doing that right? Yeah. Okay, so we had to compromise a little bit, and obviously they had removal for our Lord. So our clock is much lessened, but we will just simply have to see what the opponent's up to here. I don't know what Izzet Charm portends. I hope it's not that hideous Electrodominance deck. It is. Greater Gargadon. Okay, well, we gotta fade everything. Oh, I hate that deck. I hate that deck a lot. Not gonna lie, I hate it a lot. Okay, so what are our options here? I guess first we need to see if we have lethal, right? So the 3 dorks plus the 2 lands, giving us +3/+3 to these 4 creatures, which is 12. 14, 15, 16. I think that's exactly lethal. Let me double check. So Arbor Elf, Llanowar Elves are not attacking. Everybody gets +3/+3 until end of turn. So that's 4. +5 is 9. +4 is 13. +5 is 18. Maybe even a little bit more than lethal. Okay. It's so much harder for me to do math while I'm commentating. I don't know why. Like, it's hard for me to shift from the verbal to the mathematical, I guess. That's my excuse. Maybe I'm just a fool. Maybe I'm just a little foolhardy. Okay. Turn forward through a removal spell with kind of a semi-clunky progression. Like, it was explosive, but it got clunkier when we drew, like, Ezuri and Lead the Stampede, which are two powerful cards, but they don't really help us keep exploding, right? They kind of need us to divert resources to them, rather than them generating velocity and resources. So, yeah, I mean, this deck is very impressive at putting consistent turn 4 kills together. Again, that's not like the most powerful thing you can do in Modern, especially because it's kind of one-dimensional, but you see the usefulness of it in a situation like that. But I don't really know what to do against what I assume is a Electrodominance as foretold combo deck, because number one, I don't know. I know the builds vary a lot. Might be kind of hard to see exactly where they're going based on that. You know, I think not all of them play the card Restore Balance. That's my understanding. But I think I might try to cheese them with Choke. I think Damping Sphere is potentially okay. It's mostly good against the card Electrodominance. Maybe it's not that good. I don't know how to rate that card. They might use the graveyard a little bit for Relic, but I'm not sure that they do. And they didn't show us as foretold, but they probably have it. So I'm going to play Rex Sages and Chokes, I guess, until we see something else. And Veil of Summer, they're more of a combo deck and less of an interactive deck. I don't know how much permission they're going to play, but I might play 2 of these. Strangely enough, this can beat their removal if the removal is Izzet Charm. And Izzet Charm can be permission too. So, again, the builds vary so much that I am not confident that I'll be sideboarded exactly correctly against their exact configuration. But I'm thinking something like that. Once again, we're not running into green decks, so Elvish Champion is kind of the worst lord overall. Probably cutting all 4. Thinking about cutting 1 lead. We have to race, but they interact a bit, so we gotta grind a bit. Ezuri was great there, but I can maybe see trimming 1. I'll trim 1, and... Once again, continue to trim around the edges a little bit. Going down to 3 Arbor Elf seems mostly fine if you're not sure. We're definitely going to mulligan this hand. It's a 1-lander with no 1-drop. Okay, this is another clunker, but I'll keep it. Seems better than going to 5. I guess we're kind of playing the long game no matter what, so I'm inclined to bottom Imperious Perfect over Lead the Stampede. I think we should keep Veil. I think we need to keep Rex Sage. Sure. We are like 10% to win as far as I can tell. We need the opponent to not have much, and I don't know why they would keep a 7 without much on the play, right? And we need to do stuff like this, you know, draw the right spell off the top at the right time. Hey, turn 1 Llanowar Elf, that is a good top deck. Okay, an OP with nothing, and we've drawn Clancaller. Okay, so one option is to play Clancaller, hold up Veil, another one is to just to jam Archdruid. I think I'm gonna hold up Veil. Mega judgment call. Being on the draw, being unfavored, I assume, having mulliganed, This might be wrong. It might be correct to just jam Archdruid and see what happens. But I'm reading them for, like, an Izzet Charm here or something. Got him. Got him good. Using Veil of Summer as intended. You love to see it. We still could die right now. Greater Gargadon. Okay. Man, I really don't like that this deck is in the meta. It's kind of frustrating to play against, right? I don't know if you experience the same thing, and not just because we're on elves, but in a broad, generic sense, I think it is. Alright, well now they have not presented as foretold, and we don't have anything to do besides play threats. Getting stuck on a land there kind of hurts, but we can't really complain about our draws. They've been fine in light of our keep. I'm just playing a removal deck over there. And we're just playing some clunk. Some real clunk. The second Rec Sage is annoying. It's an annoying draw. I thought it would be a good one. Thought it'd be a card I'd actively want to see, but it's not the case. If we had any kind of an alternative 2-drop play, that would be great, because it would give us a reason to play the Elvish Mystic, develop our mana. Drawing a land would have been great there, too. We can't afford Lead the Stampede. Opponents just, like, cantripping and casting cantrips. Oh, I realized that was redundant. They're cantripping with their Fiery Islets, casting cantrips on either side of that. Alright. I mean, they're giving us a bit of a window here, but granted they've pointed 3 removal spells at us, so they're interacting like they need to. Veil of Summer to beat the first one was pretty cool, though, not gonna lie. Okay, Llanowar Elves, really? Okay, I guess now we are just kinda supposed to play out these dorks and shove. I'm not gonna hold up an Ezuri activation here. If they have, like, another removal spell, spot removal, they're going to point it at Ezuri. And if they have Anger of the Gods, I think our progression has been so clunky we can't play around it. Sure, Anger. Yeah. Well, that was not entirely unexpected, but again, we deliberately don't play around that in a situation like that. But we would have been rewarded if we had, maybe keeping a dork alive and being able to rebuild. So, that's something, but what are you going to do? Yeah, so I don't know how to rate the opponent's deck. Like, they haven't cast Electrodominance or As Foretold yet. But with Greater Gargadon, surely that's what they're doing. Simian Spirit Guide on the end step for 4 mana. Okay, here's Electrodominance to cast a 2-drop. Okay, oh, no, just to cast Footfalls, but to kill our Archdruid while they do it. Yeah, this deck is rough, and we just got beat by that play for sure. Yeah, we can't do it. I will concede, and I'm encountering the visual bug. Sorry about that. I'll restart the client after this Game 3, Round 3, and come back with some visuals for Round 4. But first, let's beat them if we can. Yikes. I don't even know if we're supposed to keep Rec Sages in based on that. They look like they're playing more out of hand, and they might not necessarily even have As Foretold. Maybe that's, like, not possible. Maybe they always have it. It's tough not to know. But I'm considering going down on a Rec Sage, especially because, you know, half the time As Foretold the damage is already done the turn they cast it, right? So why don't we cut 1? They're still fine to leave in as a hedge because it's still like an elf. Still a 2-power elf that can get freaky, right? But Let's cut that, and I'm inclined toward a third Veil of Summer. I didn't pay close attention to their land base. I don't know exactly how good Choke is, but I believe they at least fetch and shocked game 1. So, you know, if they keep a hand based on lands like that, I think we're supposed to still try to cheese them with Choke. I think this matchup seems pretty bad. Like, we can't do anything about their combo element that's that relevant against it, and the rest of their deck is just like, is it Charms and it Braids and Lightning Bolts? Seems pretty awful for Elves. Seems like a bad matchup, right? Ooh, I would hate to mulligan, but I think we have to. I don't think we can keep a hand that's this slow. Again, Dwynen's Elite, Grizzly Bear mode, not going to cut it. I'm going to look for a good 6 here. Okay, we have a good 6. We're keeping. We are going to bottom, I guess, Ezuri. Because the rest of our hand, if our Arbor Elf lives, just gets to go sicko mode with turn 2. Druid into Elite into Choke. Seems really good. Oh, don't kill our elf. Just Fetch Shock and Serum Visions. Please, Serum Visions. Yes. Okay. This is our path to victory. I still don't know if we'll get there. You know, they still might have other non-island lands in plenty, but it'll still be a really good turn, too. Ooh, no, I'm mistaken. Actually, Arbor Elf? Hold on, let's think about this. No, okay. I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. I was thinking for a moment Arbor Elf doesn't combo with Heritage and Dwynen's, but we make 3 bodies off of those 2. We don't need Arbor Elf to combo with them, right? I don't know what I was thinking. Never mind me. Hey, I am still not an expert elf player. Never claimed otherwise, right? Boom. Okay, we have only Forest in hand. Our cards are all on the table, literally. But hey. On turn 2, we cast a Choke and made 4 bodies. After a mulligan to 6, it's pretty good. We can draw Lords or Lead the Stampedes off the top. That would be ideal. Opponent, unfortunately, will find and play a Spire Bluff Canal, so they're not totally choked, nor did we really expect them to be, but, you know, if this is just enough of a setback to get us over the line, that's all we can really ask for. Opponent tanking here makes me think they might have a Lightning Bolt, our other 1-mana removal, because otherwise, you know, what's the holdup? And they're deciding, does it do anything in particular to point this at the board? Well, we've drawn a Lord, that's good. Gotta fade that 1-mana removal, right? Okay, no bolt one time. Not just one time. We're going to need to fade something next turn, too. But hey, no bolt one time. We did that. Okay, so next turn is the scary one. Yeah, okay, opt. That makes sense. This is the scary turn, though, because they could just Electrodominance, and who knows what they have. Maybe they do have Restore Balance, in which case we're just going to kind of lose. Well, maybe not. They have 8 cards in hand, we have none. That's something, right? And then we still have Choke. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But we've given ourselves a decent shot under the circumstances. But, you know, the Rhinos would be a little scary. The They're not angering this turn, but if they can survive and then anger next turn, obviously that's bad. Ooh, who knows? Who knows what's going to go on here? But if they kill our Lord, we are hitting for 6, putting them to 2. They're tapping double blue. Oh, Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, well, at least it's not... Oh, jeez, it's as foretold into Restore Balance. Okay, we'll sack 5 creatures. This deck is so dumb. It's so dumb. But we don't lose any lands, and they have to dump their whole entire hand. But of course, they're going to rip a land right off the top. Really? You hate to see it. But I think we have... You know, we have some hope of winning from here. I don't know if we're favored, but, like, oftentimes jeez, not if we only draw forests. Dude, give me a break. Give me a break with these draws. But oftentimes, as I was saying, like, a Restore Balance is just lights out. So, we're still in it, but... Yeah, but forests only off the top is not good. Greater Gargadon for OP is not good. Llanowar Elves is not even very good either, but it is action. It is a thing. So yeah, the nightmare, of course, is that they Greater Gargadon before. They had Greater Gargadon and Suspend before that for people who have not encountered this foul deck before. And then they can sack all their own lands to Gargadon, which is going to get it down quicker, taking those counters off of it. And it's going to wipe out all their own lands, but it wipes out ours too. They can still play more spells through As Foretold, and we are just board wiped and Armageddoned, or whatever that card is where all the lands die. So that didn't happen this time, which gives us a shot, but again, we need some better cards off the top than Forest and Llanowar Elf. Because what's going to happen is the opponent's going to, as early as next turn, even if nothing else happens, they can get the Greater Gargadon down. Okay, As Foretold. So now... Oh, just forests? Why? Why? This is such a winnable game against, like, one of my most hated decks right now. I simply cannot believe it. Okay, so the Gargadon comes this turn if they want it to. I mean, if they have something better to do, maybe they wait. Yeah. Okay. They are at 5. Oh, they just rip Ancestral Vision off the top, cast it for free. Seems pretty good. Okay, we just lose to that, I guess. I don't see us beating the Gargadon in context any longer. Yeah, we needed more aggressive top decks after the Restore Balance. We also needed to fade Restore Balance. You know, we could have beat most other things. I guess because they had Simian Guide, Anger was actually really scary there. I was not giving them full credit for that. Opponent went top with the first opt, bottom with the second. Stomping Ground. Whoa. Green Splash. I don't know what that's for. Maybe to just suspend the Rhino card. Or another Restore Balance. Okay. Yeah, this is very, very, very rough. We lose 4 lands, 2 creatures, and the 2 lands out of our hand. And as you can see, there's no counterplay to it. We play the lands out, we lose them. We hold on to them, we lose them. We're going to die in 3 hits to the Gargadon, and having drawn Archdruid, I think there's no way we can race them. There might not have been anyway, mathematically, but we needed, like, perfect draws off the top to have a shot, I guess. They have all 4 As for Tolds, one of them hard-casting Simian Guide. And I don't know why they're not cashing in an As for Told for Gargadon. Maybe I'm missing something there, but doesn't matter, does it? You guys let me know in the comments as always if I am missing something there, but I think we could be dead like... Well, maybe they didn't need to, technically, with the Simian Guide. It's the same clock. They just draw another Ancestral Vision. Okay. Okay, you got us. I despise this deck, and I will see you for round 4 with a freshly restarted client. Okay, we are back, and you know what? Our humble elf deck actually performed pretty well there. I think that matchup is horrid. As soon as Electrodominance came out and people started building that deck, I have always said, oh boy, I hope this deck never actually becomes good, because I just would hate to see it on a regular basis in Modern. I've been seeing it a lot lately. How about you guys? I hope it's not catching on. I hope it's just a flash in the pan, but it does seem to be out there. It does seem to be a very bad matchup for Elves, and we did admirably. Like, a little bit more luck, and we could have stolen the match. So, while I think that's something we definitely want to fade if you're on a deck like this, you can beat there. You can get there. You can beat them. I will keep certainly a hand like this. It just does the Elf Ball thing, and that is about all we want to do. OP with Shadow, targeting themselves, Bloodstained Mire, targeting themselves with Bauble, that is. At least I'm assuming Shadow, and Lurrus as a companion, okay? As long as the gas keeps coming, a matchup like this could be okay, but the Lurrus itself is going to be a problem. And maybe it's not Shadow at all, you know? I'm just so used to seeing Bauble, Bloodstained Mire, thinking Shadow. But it could be like Rakdos Prowess or something. I'm not certain. But Lurrus is a companion. It's definitely going to take away some of Shadow's usual tools, and indeed it's Prowess. Well, a matchup that we don't want to see. But, you know, they have to point a big spell like Bolts at our board. They don't get any Prowess value off of it, so all things considered, that is okay. Okay, just keep dumping them out. That's all we can do. You know, I'm not sure, like, what our great matchups are, honestly. I think Death Shadow, traditional Grixis Shadow, is a really good matchup for us. I think the blue deck matchups, like the control matchups, are fine with Choke in the board and Veil of Summers. But there's kind of a lot of bad matchups out there for Elves, as far as I can tell. But, yeah, maybe Eldrazi Tron's a good matchup. I think big mana in general is fine. So there is that. We're running into some bad matchups, though. Prowess, a very scary one. Arguably, I would rather face blue Prowess, because I just think the mono-red with the utter plethora of burn, especially low-curve burn. If somebody was on my build, like the Fort Bolt build, GG, right? Oh, jeez. And then as I was about to say, the black-based ones like this, with freaking Kolaghan's Command, man, that is a rough one. So, I guess we're supposed to get a little bit greedy and pitch the land. I don't think we can really afford to run so low on gas. And at least next turn we can get a Lord down of some kind, and then take it from there. Dwynen's Elite. Okay. Yep. I'm afraid there's going to be too much interaction for us to get there against most of their good progressions, but the presence of black Depending on how heavily they lean into it, it could work to our favor just because it turns on Veil of Summer. Gives us that early way to blow out interaction in the post-side games. Weather the Storm is going to get to come in here. Maybe Relics to compete with Lurrus, and if they... I'm sure they're on Lava Dart. So we've got some stuff to do. OP with a Cling to draw, and to power up Soulscar Mage. I'll tell you, if I ever ran into Elves on Prowess, which I think I did like my first or second league ever with it, I would be so happy. If I was in the opponent's seat, I would be like, alright, Elves, here we go, here we go. All of my spells are awesome. All of my spells are very, very strong. Is this another Kolaghan's Command? No, it's a Fatal Push, a Revolted Push. The hits just keep on coming, huh? But we're continuing to untap with our Mana Dork, so we're not totally stumbling. And I guess the responsible thing to do here is go wide. So our deck is valiantly keeping up. And you know, if this was like, if they didn't have Lurrus, I would feel like, okay, you know, we're in it with a shot. We're in it with a shot. But the second wave of Lurrus is just got me sweating a little bit. Sweating a little bit. Do you think they do anything with white mana, or is that just a red canopy land that could easily be any other red canopy land? Probably the latter, right? Well, I guess it helps them cast Lurrus with Sunbaked Canyon if they don't have enough black mana, so sure. Okay, opponent thought seizing us. Feels bad. But yeah, I mean, Veil of Summer is looking better and better with every turn that goes on. That's definitely going to come in, probably all four. Four Veil, 2 Weather, 2 Relic. I don't think I'm going to play Damping Sphere at all. I'm pretty... Okay, let's think about whether or not to block. I'm gonna say no blocks. Even if they had nothing and we lose like the token in the Arbor Elf and get to kill their thing, that's still pretty bad if you ask me. Alright. Opponent's life total is kind of low. But they didn't put Lurrus into their hand, so they have something to do here. I'm a little worried. I'm worried enough about another Kolaghan's Command, and I think the upside of finding Heritage Druid is high enough that I'm going to go for Lead the Stampede rather than Ezuri here. Ezuri, like, hold up 1 regen shield is fine, but I'm looking for this play instead. Okay, that's a medium one. It's okay. Not great, not bad. And I'm not blocking, I'm going to race. I think we've got to. They will cycle and unearth on the end step. Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know what to make of that. That feels like a main phase play to me, if that was all they were really doing, so they have to be holding something else up. Are they, like, saving removal for Ezuri, maybe? They had a window for Kolaghan's Command if they wanted to, like, kill something, then make us discard Ezuri. They could have done that while our lead was on the stack, if I recall correctly. Yeah, the opponent has kind of low-key taken enough damage off of their mana this game that really changes the dynamic. Thoughtseize. I mean, sure, you know, I'm really glad we leaded. We led? I'm glad we leaded leaded the Stampede. I'm glad we led the Stampede last turn in light of that. And OP down to 1 card in hand until they put Lurrus in. You know, like, we have a shot. Lurrus is just so annoying. I'm still really against Companion. Whoa, the attack. Unexpected. Sure. I understand that Companion is balanced now. You know, like, it's not like a mechanic that's warping the format any longer. I just am still against the design. What are we doing here? Is this just a flashbacked Cling to Dust? Or an escaped Cling to Dust, rather? It sure is. Taking away lead, I mean, okay. They are gonna be dead on the crackback if we draw a Lord, which we don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about that play from OP, honestly. Seems really risky. We're in, what, 16 Lord deck. We didn't draw one, though. Think we're just going to play every single creature out? Put them to 4. You know, if they just, like, sat back, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what that last card in their hand is. Was it Abbot of Carol Keep this whole time? Oh my god, Abbot into Lava Dart is so rough. Especially because we're not holding up any Ezuri regen shields, so they can kill Ezuri. Or they can kill 2 things. They're gonna kill 2 things, eh? So if they attack, it's big decision time. They're attacking. Jeez. Okay. Well, first... Well, okay. We can't really say how dead they are on the crackback because we don't know what that last card in hand is. But, so let's figure out, what could they have to kill us here? They need to find 7 more damage than they already are representing. Lava Dart to the face and flashing it back is not enough. That still leaves us at 3. I think I'm supposed to take the hit. Maybe I'm missing something. I think I'm taking the hit here. Like, our board is wide enough that I was ready to block this turn, but specifically Lava Dart. Like, I would have probably blocked with a token. Okay, that's the concession. All right. Yeah, I think if the opponent had not attacked quite so recklessly, they probably could have... You know, they'd have to fade certain top decks from us, but they would have had a good chance of just, like, controlling our board and getting Lurrus online. But I don't know if I finished saying this. I'm skeptical of Damping Sphere, like, broadly against Prowess, and specifically against the Black Splash Prowess. I think it's worse because they're a slower velocity deck, more controlling anyway. And Damping Sphere is far from a free roll in our deck. It is symmetrical, remember that, and we do have turns where we want to cast a lot of spells. So I'm definitely not going to play that, especially because we have a lot of other cards to bring in. I'm probably going to bring in all 8 of these that we mentioned earlier. Weird siding in order here. I'm actually skeptical of Clancaller because it's a 1 toughness 2-drop. That dies horribly to Lava Dart. So what if we begin by thinking about siding out all 4 Clancallers and then Probably want to trim a couple dorks, get a little grindier, and again, reduce the density of 1-drops, and then probably 2 Elvish Champion can go. Feels weird to leave in any Elvish Champion, because that's just like the go-to if they're not on green, but I think I like this regardless. Well, guys, I don't know what our end result is going to be, but we're showing a lot of, like, surprising resilience with this deck. Like, beating a Red-Black Prowess deck game 1, definitely surprising, and they didn't stumble much at all. Maybe a little bit of flooding is about it. I'm going to keep. I don't want to mull in this matchup. We've got a lot to like. We need to draw a second land, and then we'll have even more to like, right? But you know, the notion of us being a little clunky is not the end of the world, because we're going to be clunky from them killing our things anyway. Thoughtseize, okay, so they'll know about Veil, and they can even take it if they want to, which wouldn't surprise me at all. On the other hand, there's a lot to worry about for them in this hand, and, okay, they do take it, sure. And for at least one turn, they would know that, you know, we're probably going to have to play an elf and go shields down. Okay, Dwynen's Elite. Well, if our Llanowar Elf survives, and if we draw a second land off the top, that'll be really good. But not what I wanted to see. We want to see lands. We want to see the second and third land, I suppose. Definitely the second one. Other than that, we want to see, I don't know, maybe more 1-drops to try to get ourselves going. Maybe another Veil of Summer. We're very far ahead on the clock here. Never know if that could matter. I kind of hope it doesn't, you know? I'd take a win any way I could get it, but these games should be pretty quick. Opponent does have some certainly more sequencing decisions than we do, especially early. They main phase a fetch and then a lava dart. Okay. Sure. Land. Okay, land. We're still going to play Heritage over Dwynen's Elite. Still going to look for the token off of the Elite, even though it's less mana efficient. We're also bluffing Veil of Summer right now, which is definitely pretty sweet. Abbot of Carol Keep. Okay. Flip over something uncastable like a Kolaghan's Command, that'd be cool. Swifty. Alright, do they have the third land? Ooh, they do. Dang. That's really good for them. Making 2 creatures this turn is really good. Their lack of clock is what we had going for us, and now we no longer do. So, on the upside, we get to play Dwynen's Elite and have a good turn this turn, but okay. So they see it, they go for the lava dart. We didn't have any other plays anyway, so that was definitely the correct thing to do. And hey, we set them back. We forced them to do lava dart on our terms, but still kind of sucks. If we ever draw the third land, you know, we're gonna grind really well. Again, the problem is they now have a clock, whereas before they did not. They're gonna bobble us. They're gonna push. Okay. I'm afraid to say they pretty much have us here. I think, I don't know what we would need. I mean, 3rd land's a start, I guess. And we have it. Okay, we go for max upside, play the Archdruid, hope they have nothing. And then Archdruid with the combination of the right top deck next turn could really get us going. They cantrip, they find Seal of Fire. I will concede. Well, no, I won't. I guess I won't, right? Opponent giving us the option not to block, or to block, rather. I think I'm supposed to not. Like, that's just playing to lose more slowly. Okay. We could very easily die here if they have a couple burn spells in hand, not blocking, but we can't give them credit for that, because if they had lethal, they should have just taken it by main phasing the seal on our blocker, right? Wow. Are they going to let us untap with this guy? No. Okay. On their own end step. They almost did. Relic. Play Ezuri. Once again, just continue playing for them having nothing, and then us being able to block successfully. Okay. I've been bested. That's just a nightmarish matchup if you're stumbling like that on the draw. Again, if they, don't have creatures, that's one thing, but the Abbot flipping the Swifty was nice. Very nice for them on turn 3. So, on the draw, do we do anything differently? I don't think so. I think we kind of have the right blend of sideboard tech and, cutting the least impactful cards. Well, I like the deck prowess as a whole. Definitely a fan of it. It's another rough matchup for us, obviously. It's the type of thing we wanted to fade here, but it's not the type of thing I hate to see in the meta at all. Unlike our round 3 opponent on that Electrodominance deck. Ooh, another one-lander, but this one's a keep. Look at all of our sideboard tech. We've got to keep it. I just wish, any of these cards was a second land. Because then I would know exactly how to sequence. I think we have to play something out here. Even if they have removal or discard or whatever, if they also have a turn 1 threat, they probably are supposed to play the threat. Or at least there's a chance they do. Punished. They go T1 Fatal Push, and we draw the second land. Max punished, but hey, at least we drew the second land. If they now, Bolt or worse, Lava Dart the Mystic, I'll be pretty tilted, but hey. Just go for another push. Just go for another push. Or a Thoughtseize. I love this, all these instants, because we're holding up everything, Even if Veil isn't relevant, we might have a good Weather the Storm window. Oh, Collective Brutality? If only they had fully escalated, that would have been sweet. But we'll still take it. They use their whole turn getting blown out by Veil. We'll still take it. No third land, though, is not the greatest. So I guess we just get Dwynen's Elite down and hold up another Veil of Summer this turn. Abbott. Alright, time for you to flip a clunker. Thoughtseize? Oh yeah. Play the land, fetch, shock, Thoughtseize into our Veil. Did they even play Basic Swamp? Oh, they just go get Mountain, so they're not going to cast the Thoughtseize. Fair enough. Well, at least they flipped a brick then off of Abbott. We have that going for us. Man, these leads would be so good if we had just one other land. I can't bring myself to go totally shields down. Or one other mana source, I mean, right? I'm gonna ship in with the Dwynen's Elite here. And then we just kind of have to say go with our hand still. Like, if they're doing a bunch of red stuff, Weather of the Storm will be good. If they're doing black stuff, Veil of Summer will be good. Yikes, another threat, Swifty. Mega yikes. Again, maybe Weather will be nice, but... okay, Weather is looking nicer and nicer off that Monomorphos. So we need them to try a black spell. Because if they, like, cast a discard spell or a Collective Brutality, and we get to Veil that, and after everything is done we get to Weather for 1,000,000, that would be sweet. Okay, another Monomorphos. Here they come. Here they come. Well, they made black mana off of that. But then they're going to cash it in to the Sunbaked Canyon. They're bolting the Mystic. Okay. Feels bad, man. I mean, it was an insane turn for the opponent. Again, we needed them to do something black that played into Veil of Summer, right? I'm thinking about using Veil just to gain another 3 life from Weather. That's probably wrong, though, because we might not be able to do much else other than hold up Veil if we don't draw our 3rd land. Our hand's just too clunky, man. Just too clunky. Just do it now. Okay, we go to 35 life and then back down to 22, and we draw the 3rd land. Okay. Time to race. Imperious Perfect. Smack ya. Back for 5. Well, yeah, it's a shame we didn't get to Veil them that turn. That would have been... We would, like, having drawn the 3rd land after all that, we probably would have been pretty favored. Plus whatever else is on the top, because we would have seen an extra card, but who knows? But who knows? They begin by cracking Canyon. That's good news for us. They're also not able to currently cast Lurrus with the mana they have on board. So Lurrus is a little ways away in a couple different ways. Weather the Storm. I didn't track exactly how much life we gained there. Was it 15? It's pretty cool. Far from like a nail in the coffin against this Prowess deck, though, as we all know. Ooh, now they escalate the brutality and they are rewarded for it. Very, very rewarded for it. Full escalation. We're shields down. But, you know, they're in total top deck mode after this, so this is pretty bad. But Dwynen's Elite. How interesting. I guess that's our play. Lets us hold up Veil. And I'm just going to erase him right back. All of their natural 1/2s are disturbingly good against our deck with a lot of 1/1s, right? So we need them to draw black cards. Seal of Fire. Oh, such a good draw. Seal of Fire is a nutty draw right there. It really is. One of their better ones, I have to say. Yep. They send all 3? Yeah, still attacking us very aggressively. Not really respecting our lethal top deck of a Lord again. Lord off the top one time. Forest off the top. Bra moment. Heritage Druid, Elvish Mystic, Dwynen's Elite. Well, no Lords in any of that. But it's some good stuff. So we can go Heritage. 1, 2, 3 to play Dwynen's. And to play Mystic. And a crack back for 2, and we're now also holding up Veil of Summer, although if they just main phase something, then we can't use it. Because we have to tap all 3 of our blockers down and we'll just die to prowess threats. Alright, they drew a Sunbaked Canyon. We need you to draw another land this turn. If they draw another land... Okay, well... Let's just see what they do. No use in thinking about the ifs, right? They just pass. Okay, Lord. Relic. Relic. Relic, yeah. Let's play it and use it. Kind of like the same draw they had of something that replaces itself without otherwise being the most relevant. Oh no, Forest. Okay. Yikes. So our attacks suck if they have a red spell. Our attacks are great if they drew a non-red spell or a Fatal Push or something like that. I mean, they're not even great because we, like, if they have any way to stay alive, they get to eat a bunch of 1/1s. But if they don't have a removal spell, then 4 things are connecting. I have no idea what to do. This is... And it's not just like... I don't think there's an obvious choice here. That's why I don't know what to do. Because, like, we have to all-out attack to make it worthwhile. And even if they don't have anything right now... they could still very easily, like, take 2 good blocks and then they're at 1 and they kill us on the crackback. So I think we have to pass. Man. Too many forests off the top and too many crucial places. Again, based on their attack the first time, we had lethal with the Lord. They left us up for lethal. We have missed Lords for a while, but granted we sided a lot of them out. I think it's correct to do so here. Alright. We need one off the top right now, though. Come on, deck. We did it. Alright. Alright. I think that's enough. I think I'm going to go for it. Because, let's say they have Lightning Bolt, right? They bolt the Druid. Their stuff all gets pumped. Then they can block the 3 biggest things. Well, I guess they're still at 1 that way. Whatever. At least they can't tag an attacker this way. I'm going to go for it because, like, we're just vulnerable to them drawing a red removal if we don't. Okay, we did it. I still am not sure that that was correct, but we did it! Hey, we beat a tough matchup. We beat a tough matchup. Good old Elves. Fifth and final round here, my friends, and we are 2-2. I'm honestly reasonably hyped about that, considering that we're on a 12 TIX deck. And I'll keep this hand. Hope Arbor Elf doesn't die. And also considering that we are not really facing the right half of the deck, or the right half of the meta, rather, with the caveat that I think Elves has more unfavorable matchups than favorable ones, but even so, like running into Red-Black Prowess and the Electrodominance deck and Storm, these are all horrible. Looks like we're against maybe another Prowess deck. Maybe it's Blue Splash? Or maybe it is Shadow. Shadow would be a good matchup. So if we're against like Shadow and E-Tron, I guess those are our better matchups of the spread that we faced. I would definitely take Shadow right now. Our hand against them is a little disruptible, in that if they have a kill spell here for Arbor Elf, who knows what happens. But they don't seem to. Unless they find one off of these baubles here. Dismembering. Yeah. Okay, nothing we can do in our upkeep with that mana. Unfortunate. Once again, it's correct here to play Mystic over Dwynen's Elite, because we don't want to lose out on the token, and also because Mystic is going to get us to 3 mana next turn. Assuming it lives. Whereas whether or not Dwynen's Elite lives, it will not do that. OP going ham with her life total here to play a Shadow. And to Gurmat. Oh, wow. Turn 2, 5/5 Shadow, 5/5 Angler. That's the type of draw they need to beat us after turn 1 Dismember. It really is. That's what they need. That's what they need, huh? Okay, we have drawn the 3rd land. Whatever. I mean, we can't really play around them having anything, so we just go for Archie. Say go. Yeah. Oof. Okay, okay. Like I say, this is how Shadow beats us if beat us they do. We gotta fade a lot here. We gotta fade... I don't think I'm blocking. So if they have, like... If they show us a fetch land and then they attack and they have, like, Fetch Shock TBR, I'm just going to accept the death. Because chump blocking is a good way to lose next turn, I think, almost deterministically, given our hand. So I'm going to let them kill us if they have the kill. It's not guaranteed that they have the kill. They could just have, like... some damage and then some follow-up plays to try to stay alive, but I suspect they do have the kill. Like, they could just swing and then play removal on the Archdruid and maybe have a second Shadow, something like that. So I think making them have TBR here is correct, but I guess they do. Oh, I was going to say there's only one explanation for them taking this long right here, but also them disconnecting is another explanation. Yeah, well, I already have to edit this video a bit, so why don't we wait till they come back? Never mind, they rejoin the game. Okay, no need to wait. Here they go, here comes our death at the hands of TBR. Yeah, they really threw us off curve by dismembering Arbor Elf, but that's not unexpected. The dismembering of Arbor Elf followed by turn 2 double huge threat. Believe me, Grixis Shadow does not have that every time, right? Okay. We die. Oops, I don't even... The kill is quicker than my concede game button. Okay. Okay, then. Well, I think this matchup is probably good for us, but I would really like to win game 1, and we sure didn't. I think Choke is kind of funny and potentially decent. but I think Weather the Storm and Relic of Progenitus are our best cards, and I might sneak in a choke or two on the play if I feel it's good. There is a big concern about Plague Engineer, and for that reason I think Elvish Clancaller is in question. Even though under other circumstances, like, it's cool to have 2-drops, because we can't necessarily jump from 1 to 3 against their interactive deck, and it's also, you know, if the match gets grindy, her tutor effect is actually pretty good. So I don't know how to rate playing around Plague Man versus the upsides of Clancaller. I think, once again, Elvish Champion is our kind of weakest card. Maybe we are just supposed to, like, accept the loss to a well-timed Plague Man and leave our Clancallers in. So, what do we do? What do we look like if we trim around the edges? I think, again, like, 1 Ezuri, 1 Arbor Elf, these are fine cuts. Maybe 1 Clancaller as well. And do we only play 1 Choke here? Sure, I think that's fine, you know. Choke is definitely a high variance card in a few different ways here, but I like cheesing them out, potentially, with 1. Okay, I like it. Hey, another cool deck to face. I'm never going to be that peeved about losing to Shadow, losing to Prowess. These decks are awesome. Modern is pretty cool right now, despite the looming shadow of that Electrodominance deck. We've got a certain keep. Absolute keep here. Since I have the second land in hand, and since I have a lot of 1-drop things to do, I'm going to just play it slow, play with Veil of Summer up at all times. That might not be correct, but we got punished for not doing it previously. I'm going to do it here, see how it goes. You know, if they're on, like, a slower plan, but one that involves Plague Engineer, obviously that really sucks. Let's go Relic. We're taking it extra slow here with our elves, but when we're on the slow plan, we can't really beat an early angler, so I think we're okay. I think we're okay to do this. But if they have, like, Thoughtseize backed up by Stub here, you know, that's something. Or if they just, like, fetch. They're not going to fetch, okay. I'm just going to crack Relic here. Relic has done enough for us. Okay, third land, that's kind of what I wanted to see. We are, like, as cold can get to a Plague Engineer. We have literal all 1/1s in hand, and we've been slow out of the gates. Yeah, I don't know if I played this one optimally, if, like, you know, we'll see how it all goes, right? A Braid, yep. It definitely could have been better to just, like, go turn 1 Dork and try to Elf Ball, and then try to find spots for Relic and Veil later. Not certain. But yeah, mono-green elves have a distinctive lack of answers to Plague Engineer. We do have natural beefiness, though. That's definitely something to account for. Like, if we do successfully Elf Ball on the play, we can... Oh, and opponents keep playing on their own end step this league. What's this? Is this a Kolaghan's command that's going to get veiled? Yeah, Veil of Summer. I hate to say it. MVP. Or should I say Kolaghan's command for the people in my chat. Kolagin's Command, the Discord meme. Yeah, that was obviously awesome. Now let's Elf Ball. And just like that, we play like 5 creatures, including 2 lords, all on the same turn, all off of 3 lands. Heritage Druid OP. So obviously the opponent can still very easily beat us here, but we've... Okay, they push 1 Clancaller. Please no land into Plague Man. Oh, that's what it feels like. That's really what it feels like. Okay, Snapcaster Mage, Fatal Push. I mean, don't get me wrong. Push, Snap, Push is really bad for us, but it's, unlike Plague Engineer, it is beatable. But now we just have a bunch of dorks on the field, so we need to draw lords. Okay, that's not a lord. Yeah, I think at this point, I was going to say, or Lead the Stampede would have been the best draw, because we can still tap out to cast it with our lands, and then play off of Heritage Druid. But having drawn another dork, our signal is to race here, shove all in, so of course they take the trade with Heritage Druid there with Snapcaster Mage. And then they have a Shadow, and still 3 cards in hand. Dwynen's Elite, huh? Well, I'm gonna cast it. I think I'm supposed to attack here, get 3 in, present lethal next turn. I'm not going to think too much about it because there are just so many permutations of what they could have, including lethal on the crackback here with TBR. But like I think all we can do here is mostly shove. I think like waiting a turn to attack is bad. Okay, it looks like it's paying off. They have to sit back. Drawn another Dwynen's Elite. Doesn't really matter as far as I can tell whether we first main or second main these. I guess technically it's better to second main to conceal info. Okay, they've got a push in addition to the block, so they'll go to 2. Shadow's very big and angry. The Dwynen's Elites are pretty good here, though. It's just a matter of fading TBR and Plague Man. And I guess something else crazy like Snap Kolagin's Command. Right? Ugh, the attack, really? So they have it. Unless it's just a bluff attack. If it's a bluff attack, then they're trying to get us to double block here to stay alive. But I think they have it. So if they go to 1... I mean, if they go to 1, we're still dead, right? Well... yeah, if they go to 1, they swing for 24, and we don't survive TBR anyway. So I guess we just don't block, or maybe we just chump with an Elf Warrior token. But I don't see why that would matter, so let's just not block and die to TBR again. Yeah, we don't have enough toughness to beat it. Ooh, so close yet so far. Well, okay, what are you going to do? I don't know. I think my slow roll sequencing paid off there. I think we might have died either way, and we might also have not... Like, remember that we had a major coup. We had a major coup in that Game 3 with their turn 3 being spent getting their K command blown out by our Veil of Summer, and then by us subsequently elf-balling in the following turn, dumping out 5 creatures, right? So I honestly think our sequencing there was debatable, like whether we want to elf-ball right out of the gates or lead on Relic and hold up Veil like we did. I think it was rewarded. We still ended up losing. because Shadow plus TBR is a really tough for a deck like ours to handle. Honestly, this is another instance of Shaman of the Pack. Let's see if I have it to show you, for those who don't know. This is another instance, frankly, of Shaman of the Pack definitely being a big miss, even though the mono-green deck is not strictly worse or anything, as I explained in the beginning. The ability to play Arbor Elf makes us that much more consistent. So, Shaman of the Pack, yeah. I mean, this card against a deck like Shadow, they have no idea when they're going to die, and they can't usually do anything about it. So I think the green-black elves are much better against Shadow, perhaps, than we are. I still think our matchup is fine, though, especially for Veil of Summer. The opponents had really good progressions, especially Game 1. At Game 1, one was nutty. Game 2 was a little more beatable, but they did just enough to beat us. So I think that's a matchup. Like, I think Elves can come out to play when Shadow is in the meta. Sadly, we didn't get them here, but we did get the arch nemesis Eldrazi Tron. We took them down. We also beat a really tough mono-red, Rakdos Prowess deck. Lost to a couple blue-red combo decks. Those are, I would say, almost literally our worst matchup besides, like, Plague Rock, because they are not only combo decks where our, turn 4 deck with minimal interaction, with frankly no interaction main deck, minimal post side. Our turn 4 deck with little to no interaction is not going to be generally well positioned to beat combo decks unless maybe they are Valakut Titan decks. But the fact that they're red-blue on top of that means that, like, they just play all the bolts and abrades and anger of the gods and whatever else they need, right? So I think those are among our worst matchups. So between some of the bad variants, not exclusively, we actually had some really good progressions too. And the fact that it's a 12 TIX deck, I'm very content with a 2-3. Would have been really nice to beat Shadow, or even to lose to Shadow and beat that silly Electrodominance as foretold deck, right? But I think this was really cool. I always have a lot of fun playing Elves. I think they need a little bit of a boost to stick around in the meta, besides the occasional result. Like, the deck can 5-0, make no mistake. It is a real deck, especially if you're not trying to, like, grind ticks with it. If you're trying to play more in the lobby or more at FNM, this is a really good deck. And if you want to get into MTGO cheaply to see if you really like the interface, to maybe learn the modern meta by playing a ton in the lobby, I think, especially if you don't make some of my sideboard upgrades that I made here, just picking up a 12-tick mono-green elf deck, you can't really go wrong with that. And then, from there, playing against decks, figuring out what you like. So there's a lot to say about this deck, and I'm pretty happy, pretty content, I should say. Maybe not happy, but I accept the 2-3 here, and hey, I am no elf expert. Maybe I misplayed as well. Who knows? I would need to... Right now, just thinking back, maybe the most questionable thing I did was keeping the Game 2 hand against Storm. I'm not certain. I don't remember exactly what it was. But anyway, guys, I hope you liked this one. It was definitely fun. We still went to the mat, at least against Prowess. We still had a little bit of grinding, going deep on the clock like we always do on the channel, despite the fact that we're on a pretty linear deck, right? Some of the matches still went a little long, but the great moral victory was achieved where we just absolutely wiped the floor with E-Tron in round 2, and I believe that's a trophy leader on E-Tron too, Mateus F34. I'm not familiar with him, other than maybe seeing his name on the leaderboard, but yeah, that was definitely the moral victory of the league. I don't have anything else to say besides the fact that, other cards in contention for the sideboard. Let's see. Heroic Intervention you could definitely play. As I say, I cut all 4 of those and I explained why, but that's definitely something that could come back in. Shaper's Sanctuary is a card that I would consider because that is going to not only be good where Veil of Summer is good against at least black removal, it's also good against the red removal, and we faced a whole lot of that today. So Shaper's Sanctuary could be pretty sweet here. Like I say, you know, if Relic is not the optimal card, you could play Grafdigger's Cage or maybe Scavenging Ooze, depending on your needs for that role. It all depends on the meta, but I think this has a lot of potential in the role of, like, real deck, cheap deck, fun deck, proactive deck, but ultimately a little bit fringy, probably needing another printing or two to really catapult it into the top tier or two of Modern. And frankly, guys, I hope we get it. Elves are a classical Modern tribe. They give you that Magic the Gathering feel. They give you that high fantasy feel. I think they're really cool. I think they're really fun to play. I think they're fair and interesting, and you know, I'm relishing the presence of goblins in the format as well. And I think elves are kind of in the same camp of goblins, where they're like a good deck to have around. We like small creature decks, right? They're a pleasure to play with and a pleasure to play against, if you ask me. Anyway, guys, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to Teddy Jund Keyser for his generous support, for being an OG patron, for benevolently modding my Discord server. Teddy does it all. He's a great guy, and he is a supporter of the elf species, of the elf tribe, and we didn't have a 5-0 here, unfortunately, not even especially close, but I think we did see the glimmers of potential in the deck, and in many cases we were able to execute that potential. So, hey, a pretty cool one, a pretty cool list if you ask me. I had a lot of fun here. Never stop to point out the basic lands here. You've got to play an on-theme basic land. This one is by Glenn Angus, I believe it is from Invasion, and it looks just like an elven village nestled away in the forest. So if you're looking for a fun, cheap, you know, maybe alternative deck or maybe entry point into Modern deck, maybe this is for you. I hope this was fun. I hope it was useful. Teddy, especially, I hope you liked it, my friend. And thanks to Teddy. Thank you to all other Patreon supporters. And I don't know what we're going to play next on the channel, but I would like to encourage you to leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, do whatever else you got to do to support the content. For those who are inclined to throw a couple dollars my way, Patreon is in the description below. I appreciate each and every person doing that. You get access to my Discord and all the other attendant benefits. It's all explained there. So if you are inclined, I'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. And either way, I hope to see you for the next video. Everybody out there, have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.